Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift's kiss stuns the Golden Globes 2026. There are moments on a red carpet that require no narration, no explanation, moments that in just a few seconds are enough to make an entire space fall silent. And on Sunday night at the Beverly Hilton, one of those moments happened. A kiss. Not rushed, not staged, not the kind of quick touch designed to satisfy a camera lens, but a real kiss, deep, warm, and intentional, shared between Travis Kelce and his fiancée, Taylor Swift, right in the middle of the 2026 Golden Globe Awards. The question is this: among hundreds of stars and thousands of photographs, why did this single moment make the entire red carpet hold its breath? Because this wasn't just their first official appearance since announcing their engagement. It was the first time the public saw two people deeply familiar with flashbulbs and spectacle choose to stop, not to pose, but to fully live inside a private second in front of the world. The setting could not have been more perfect. The crystal chandeliers of the Beverly Hilton glowed with honeyed light. The crimson carpet pulsed with shouted names and relentless camera flashes. Travis stood steady in his tuxedo, calm like a protective wall. Taylor, in a midnight satin gown, absorbed the light and returned it, softer, gentler. They moved slowly, fingers interlaced, shoulders angled toward one another. Everything about them said the same thing clearly. This was not a performance. This was a declaration. And when that kiss happened, the entire carpet understood. This night would not be remembered only for awards. But what led to the moment that sent thousands of shutters firing in a single heartbeat? We'll get to that next. Looking back at the full sequence of events on the 2026 Golden Globes red carpet, what captivated observers wasn't just the kiss itself, but how it came to be. Before that moment, Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift moved like two people fully attuned to each other's rhythm. No one pulling, no one overleading. They checked in constantly through eye contact, light squeezes of the hand, half-hidden smiles that passed between them like private notes only they could read. In body language terms, this signals safety, and on a red carpet, safety is rarer than diamonds. When the familiar call of "one together" rang out, the cue that famously sends celebrity couples pivoting left and right for cameras, they followed protocol. They turned, they posed, and then, in a brief, suspended beat, something shifted. Travis's hand slid from Taylor's waist to the small of her back, slow, deliberate, certain. Taylor placed her paw against his lapel, a gesture both intimate and trusting. The distance closed. Travis leaned in, Taylor rose onto the balls of her heels. Beneath a crown of blazing white light, they kissed. What mattered most was what the kiss was not. It didn't ambush the cameras. It didn't linger long enough to feel performative. It opened and closed like a deep breath, long enough to be real, short enough to remain elegant. For those standing in the photographer pit, it felt like witnessing a natural law unfold. Silence, then eruption. Shutters fired in rapid succession. Veteran photographers exchanged a look reserved for rare occasions. We just saw something that can't be repeated. But the story didn't travel this far on a kiss alone. What elevated the moment was the series of small actions surrounding it. Travis remained constantly aware of Taylor's train, adjusting his position to give her space. Taylor responded with equally subtle cues, a squeeze of the hand before pivoting to a new camera bank, a gentle brush of her thumb that said, "We're good." This kind of wordless communication only appears when two people are truly in sync. Visually, they offered a lesson in harmony. Taylor's midnight satin gown hugged the bodice with delicate embroidery before falling into a soft, whispering hem. The jewelry was restrained, edited, while the engagement ring caught the light like a promise that needed no explanation. Travis kept things minimal: clean tailoring, broad shoulders, a precise tie, nothing excessive. Different styles, unified presence, mirroring the relationship they projected. What stood out too was how they treated the red carpet not as a runway, but as a party. They made real eye contact. They waved genuinely. When a young fan lifted a congratulatory sign, Travis noticed first and nudged Taylor. She pressed her hand to her chest and waved back, visibly moved. Even when ushered forward, they doubled back a few steps for a quick selfie cluster with fans along the barricade, making sure no one was missed. Small gestures, but they transformed the moment from spectacle into shared joy. Friends only deepened the atmosphere. The embrace between Taylor and Selena Gomez carried layers: history, loyalty, protection. Travis stepped back, giving space, then joined with warmth. A brief handshake with Leonardo DiCaprio felt like old-school Hollywood, efficient, respectful, unspoken understanding between veterans of the spotlight. And when host Nikki Glaser appeared, congratulating the couple with a mischievous smile, the moment felt officially sealed. Yes, this was the couple of the night, and they wore that title with grace. Body language analysts will dissect every frame, but the headlines wrote themselves. This was their official debut as fiancés, and they made no effort to be anything other than exactly that. The kiss was punctuation. The full sentence before and after carried the weight: respect, shared rhythm, and the freedom to be present. When the grand doors of the Beverly Hilton closed behind them, the Golden Globes night was far from over. There would be speeches, laughter, cinematic moments etched into history. But for many watching, from the carpet to phone screens across the world, the story of the night had already been told the moment Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift enter the ballroom, hand in hand, leaning slightly toward one another as if sharing one last breath before dissolving into the glow. In hindsight, what lingers isn't who kissed whom, nor the price of a gown or a suit. What lasts is the feeling of two people who have weathered enough lights, pressure, and noise to choose showing up together in a deeply human way. Travis brought steadiness, a quiet anchor. Taylor carried precision, emotional clarity, and her unmistakable light. They didn't try to prove love, they simply allowed it to exist. In an industry that often turns emotion into product, that moment felt like a soft but powerful reminder. Lasting allure doesn't come from owning the spotlight, but from sharing it. A hand offered at the right time, a step slowed so the other can shine, a kiss real enough to make the world pause. Perhaps that's why the moment traveled so fast. It touched something universal, the desire to witness tenderness, safety, and joy without explanation. Amid endless headlines, it reminded us that success, fame, and even the brightest lights feel better when there's someone beside you. So what about you? What part of that moment made you pause just a beat longer? If you felt that energy, leave a comment with the video's keyword. And if you'd like to keep exploring the human stories behind the headlines, don't forget to subscribe so we can meet again in the next report.